It was October 1914. A squadron of warships steamed into Micronesia. One task force headed for Yap and Palau, and another to the islands in the east. At each of the major islands, the warships sent ashore launches filled with Marines. From the stern of these launches flew the red sunburst of the Japanese Navy.
Now, the British and the Japanese had memos of understanding which called for the Japanese to help them protect their colonies of Singapore and Hong Kong in the event of war. On the strength of these memos, the Japanese come into Micronesia in October 1914, and they take over everything.
As startled islanders watched, military officers posted the official proclamation of Japanese rule over the islands.
There was a formation, and the Japanese were wearing these white uniforms, and the Germans had these dark blue woolen uniforms, and the German handed over his sword to the Japanese, and then they passed out rice cakes to everybody. All the little kids got candies.
With the outbreak of the First World War, Japan was seizing Germany's island possessions. For Micronesians, it was another change in colonial rule. Japan's first thrust into the South Seas had been made over 20 years earlier. Japanese trading companies, in search of new markets, established a presence in the Carolines in the early 1890s. Koben Mori, son of a samurai, settled in Chuuk, where he would found a prominent family and live out the rest of his life. Magahira Shirai, who fought in the wars of the Meiji Restoration, also arrived in Chuuk at this time. By the end of 1914, there were dozens of Japanese traders throughout the islands, and much more island produce was being shipped to Japan than to Europe. Even before its acquisition of Micronesia, Japan had acquired the major share of island trade. Once again, merchants had prepared the way for the colonizers. Japanese naval officers took over the administration of the islands. In doing so, they continued features of the system they inherited from the Germans. They retained the flag chiefs that had been installed by the predecessors and continued to collect the yearly land tax. They also introduced new public services. Jaluit, the capital of the Marshalls, soon had a Japanese-run hospital. The Corps of Naval Doctors, assisted by local health aides, conducted a medical survey of the Marshalls and soon began visiting other atolls to treat patients. The Japanese also began a rudimentary public school system, the first ever in Micronesia. Only the main island in each group had a school, but it was the beginning of a more widespread education system. Marshallese students took classes in Japanese language, with a little arithmetic and singing added. Everywhere there were athletic contests and field days. Japanese influence was limited at first. But this was just a little foretaste of what was yet to come.
Amado